County Board of Supervisors, meeting of April 8th. Nikki, can we have roll call, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair Bushnell. Supervisor Bohn? Here. Chair Bushnell?
Good morning again.
And Supervisor Wilson?
Present.
And Supervisors Arroyo and Madrone are absent today.
Okay, can we salute our flag, please? CAO, do we have any modifications to the agenda today?
Good morning, Chair Bushnell. Item 5 will be pulled for discussion.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to go right into our consent calendar. And the first thing I want to say on the consent calendar is that we are going to be adjourning in memory of Bill Hummel. Bill Hummel passed away last week. And I want to read a little something. Bill's life was marked by a quiet and unselfish dedication to his country, his family, and his community, and his values. He will be dearly missed and forever remembered. I had the honor of meeting Bill when I got elected. He was very involved with the Fortuna VFW, was on the fire department down there. Just an incredible man, and served his community well, served his country well, and it will be very missed. He attended every breakfast for the VFW, was a worker bee, and his Hummel Tire, as most people know who Hummel Tire is and utilize them, is a great community business down there, and he will be really missed. And I think Rex was gonna say something. No?
Well, I'm sure him and Brother Hal are probably opening another tire store up where they ended up. But yeah, he was some of the stories and some of the things they did to promote Fortuna years ago with Eddie Tanferani and the bunch. They had like a civic leadership group, and they were always up to something. And it was just kind of the backbone of, we look around, they were kind of the backbone of communities back in the day. And I think everybody at one time or another got tires from him, owed him money, to every log truck driver and everything else. But yeah, they were a pretty good family. His nieces are running the business now, and it's just my thoughts go out to his wife and everything else. But he was a good guy. He was always fun to see. He was the quiet brother.
So we have a number of proclamations this morning, actually a whole agenda full, and so it's going to take us a little bit to get through it. The first one that I want to recognize is a resolution naming a portion of Highway 101 in Fortuna in memory of Deputy Jim Mowry. I'm going to read this, and then I think Sheriff Hansel is going to say something, and if anybody else wants to, you can come on up. So whereas Jim Mowry was hired as Deputy Sheriff 1 in January 2007, and whereas Jim was promoted to Deputy Sheriff 2 in July 28, and whereas Jim was transferred to the Court Protection Unit in November 2009, and whereas in January 2013, Jim received intermediate post certification, and whereas Jim was transferred back to Patrol Division in 2013, and in February 2014, Jim was assigned to the Drug Task Force Unit, and in 2016, Jim earned his advanced post certificate and was transferred back to Humboldt County Drug Task Force in April of 2016. Jim was promoted to sergeant in 2018, and in 2021, Jim received his post-supervisory certificate. Jim became a Drug Task Force sergeant in November 2022, where he remained to finish his career, and where his vibrant energy left an incredible mark on everyone he met, and whereas Jim's loss is felt deeply even today, and his absence is a profound reminder of his impact on the lives of those who knew and loved him. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Supervisors recognizes that Jim Mowry will forever be remembered by his community if granted the naming of a portion of U.S. Highway 101 in Fortuna, California, between Drake Hill and Palmer Boulevard. So this is the first step of naming a highway, a state highway. From this will go to Senator McGuire, and then Senator McGuire will recognize it with Caltrans, and hopefully we can, this dedication will happen, and there'll be a ceremony when this does happen. His family, his dad actually is driving this, and we're happy to do this for him. And so I'd like Sheriff Hansel to come up.
Supervisor Bushnell, thank you so much for this recognition. Jim has, it's been a year and a half, and it's still very, very difficult to think that he's not with us. And, it all happened so suddenly, and, but like you said, his impact just lives on. And the people that he trained, the people that he guided, supervised, that he worked alongside with, will never forget him. And this will just continue that for not only us that worked with him, but his family, people that grew up with him in Fortuna, and just as a reminder of what a public servant really is. And so I really appreciate this first step. We'll be supportive of this along the way, and anything we can do to make sure this happens. I'm sure Senator McGuire will be flooded with phone calls and emails to make sure this does get through. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and I think the back room is here for this, and thanks you all for coming up and showing your support for this first step for getting the highway named. So we will go on to the next one, unless anybody else wants to say anything. You're welcome to come forward. Okay, Supervisor Bohn.
Yeah, Jim was considered a good friend. Knew him from Little League. His kids all went, 4 kids. They were all involved in youth sports, and Johanna, Angela, his wife. Yeah, it was a pretty tough time when this all happened, and I hung around a little bit around there. But he was a great guy. I remember, I have to tell this quick story. I was out bicycling one morning about 5 o'clock in the morning, and they lived over on West Avenue, I guess it was, and I drove by, and their pickup door was wide open. And I came around on my bike, and so then I walked to the front door, knocked on the door, and so the first thing you hear, I think, when you go to a sheriff's house and knock on the door at 5 o'clock in the morning is them opening their dresser drawer and pulling their... And so I'm out on the front porch going, "It's just Rex." And then I hear Angela go, "The hell's Rex doing on our porch?" So I was telling him, "Your car door's open." But with 4 kids, last kid isn't always the best one shutting the door. But so, good guy. I know it affected the department, but at 44 years old, of course, it's going to affect everybody. But I appreciate this going through. We did this for Rich Schlesinger, and it's a nice way to recognize that our deputies. So thanks.
I do want to say if he had stomach cancer, and when I talked with his dad, and they want to say don't avoid signs, like go if you're having problems, like anything with your health, protect your health, because early detection of any kind of cancer is key to beating cancer. And he was a young man, and his family and the community miss him dearly. So I'm looking forward to having this dedication done in the future. So that, we're going to go on to the next one, which is proclamation of Grange. So I understand there's some members of the Grange who'd like to come up. Kathy's here. Mavis. So I'm going to read this, and then one of you guys will get a picture, and someone can speak, and then we'll have a comment at the end where anybody can speak. So whereas the Grange strengthens individual families and communities through grassroots action, service, education, advocacy, and agricultural awareness, and whereas the Grange has played a major role in the development of rural America and passage of important legislation during 3 centuries, and whereas the Grange of the 21st century continues to be an active force in thousands of neighborhoods across the country, creating connections between people, communities, and organizations, even through periods of social unrest and disruption. And whereas the Grange is committed to development of the potential in families, children, youth, adults of all ages, ethnicity, creed, and social standing through dynamic programs and experiences that educate, engage, and enrich lives. And whereas the Grange emphasizes civil responsibility and the involvement of people in the legislative process, cultivating connections between citizens and their government. And whereas the Grange offers opportunity for civil discussion among people of all viewpoints and opinions, serving as a safe haven for exploring important social and legislative issues of the day. And whereas the Grange strengthens hometowns through volunteerism, community support, and legislative action, building up rural and urban areas for the benefit of all that live there. And whereas the Grange motto, in essential unity, in non-essential liberty, in all things charity, has guided the Grange mission through advocacy, community service, and openness to all. And whereas Grange members everywhere wish to celebrate and express their pride in the legacy of their highly represented organization, now for their Let It Be Proclaimed that April 2025 be proclaimed Grange Month, in recognition of contributions made to the Humboldt County and the state of California by Grange members for years of faithful service. We urge and encourage our friends and neighbors to join us in this well-deserved recognition. So I do want to say that before we have Kathy come up, I got to see the Van Dusen Grange be idle for the building idle for a long time, and then I got to see a group really open that Van Dusen Grange back up, and to see all kinds of breakfasts and bingos and family dinners. All kinds of things are happening out there. And I grew up in Garberville when my grandparents were part of the Grange, and we did everything there: roller skating, potlucks, everything. And so it's been great to be a little bit a part of that. I don't get there as much as I want, but it has been amazing to see that Grange come back and flourish in the Carlotta Heightsville area. So with that, would you want to come on up?
Thank you so much, Supervisor Bushnell. We're really excited to be here today, and as you see, we brought a bigger crowd this year, and we're excited about the opening of Van Dusen Grange. We're working on Fieldbrook Grange. That will soon be open in full form. It's got a set of officers that we're moving forward with, and one of the really highlights that we're working on now is that in October, the 150th Annual State Grange Convention will be held at the Van Dusen Grange right here in Humboldt County, bringing hundreds and hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars, into the community. So we're really excited about the steps we're making in the future and moving into the 21st century. And if I could open it up to any of my
Yeah, sure. I think, Ryan, do you want to, you've been so involved, not to call you out. And then we're going to get a picture, but if you want to just say something.
I was planning to just stand in the back quietly and smile. Thank you for coming. Yeah, it's been awesome to see. I'm from Van Dusen River. Hello, everyone. And it's been awesome to see our little small community really thrive through the Grange. So it's been awesome to be a part of. Michelle, thanks for the support you offer us. And happy Grange Month, everyone.
We're discussing who's going to take the picture. And Lottie's going to take the picture. We're going to get two. You got to turn it around. There you go. Look at it.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Take a bunch, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah, thanks you guys for coming by. Yeah, great job. See you later. Bye. See you later. Great job.
Well, I want to thank Kathy and her sidekick there. I think they were very instrumental at I was out there a few times at the Van Dusen, and you guys were pretty instrumental in helping them get along. I know you're doing a lot with freshwater, and you're keeping the Grange idea alive. And you got to understand, in 1925, 77% of all the people in the United States were involved in providing food for the country. And I think Humboldt County was the #1 ag producing county in the state back in 1922. Think about it. So, and that's the Grange, one of their main things was a seed exchange. Was a huge, to make sure if one farmer was successful, they were all successful. So thank you guys for everything you do besides Ramrod and Humboldt Hill Grange also.
Thank you. Do you want to say something? Supervisor Wilson.
Yeah, just for congratulations to the Grange and Mad River for there in Blue Lake for the work that was just recently done, redoing the interiors and the floors and everything. It's really fine craftsmanship. See all the stuff. It's really amazing. And the murals in there, go check it out. Go out to one of their breakfasts or any old time, and don't forget to stop by the Logger.
So the next proclamation is going to be celebrating 29 years of service for the child abuse team, the CAST team. Is there anybody here from the CAST team? I see some people in the back. Oh, is Stacy here? Yep. You can please come forward. Do you want to come to the podium? You guys can come on up to the podium. I know, you're running.
I'm up here.
Okay. So Humboldt County Board of Supervisors proclamation, whereas the impact of sexual assault and child maltreatment can cause severe and long-lasting physical, emotional, and psychological consequences. The experience can be devastating not only for the child, but also for the family and friends of the child. Whereas sexual assault and child maltreatment across all ethnic, cultural, social, economic backgrounds and tragedy of child abuse can cause disabilities and poor health, depression, poor academic performance, alcohol and other drug problems, and abuse adult relationships. And where it is recognized that child abuse is an adverse child experience, ACEs, that has a lifetime effect on the survivor, and studies have shown that stability, support, and healthy relationships have a positive impact on the children impacted by ACEs. CAST promotes stability and support for the child, family, and caregivers through the multidisciplinary team approach. And whereas the Child Abuse Service Team, CAST, a multidisciplinary team comprised of specially trained individuals representing child welfare services, district attorney's office, Humboldt Domestic Violence Services, law enforcement, mental health, North Coast Rape Crisis Team, and tribal agencies, was created to reach one of the most vulnerable populations in our community, children who are victims of sexual and physical abuse. And whereas CAST is a nationally accredited child advocacy center through the National Children's Alliance, the office provides a child-friendly setting for forensic interviews to occur. And whereas since October 1996, the Child Abuse Service Team has conducted 3,844 comprehensive forensic interviews, and this coordinated response has proven successful in the criminal investigation and the protection of child abuse cases. And whereas where the effective intervention of the Child Abuse Service Team multidisciplinary approach to child abuse investigations has reduced the number of interviews a child abuse victim must undergo. And whereas CAST interviews may also be used to interview witnesses of violent crime, assault, and domestic violence, and are sometimes used in cases where they all are allegations of neglect, drug endangered children, and whereas the citizens of Humboldt County benefit from coordinated services provided from the CAST team. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Humboldt County Board of Supervisors hereby expresses appreciation to the members of the Child Abuse Team for their last 29 years of service to sexual and physical abuse victims of Humboldt County. take your time.
Okay, great, thank you. Good morning. Thank you so much, Chair Bushnell, Board, for recognizing the hard work that the CAST team does. I really want to emphasize the fact that, but for the CAST being a multidisciplinary team, it just wouldn't happen. So having a number of community partners assist us, come together, all for the welfare of children, is tremendous. So we really appreciate the proclamation, recognizing the hard work that the team does. Every person that's on this team and every person that's part of their life, and it just expands, really truly gives a part of themselves, a piece of their heart. So I'm very grateful for that and extremely proud of the team for the work that they do. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Well, I just want to say I was a CASTA forensic interviewer for about 5 years at my career here at Child Welfare Services, and I will say it was one of the most intense, enlightening, and rewarding part of anything that I've done at Child Welfare. And so I agree with Stacy that everyone puts their heart into what they're doing in these forensic interviews and making kids feel comfortable and safe, and have really a neutral place for them to just talk about things that have happened that are really, really hard for people to talk about in general and for people to listen to. And so I just want to extend my gratitude to all of our forensic interviewers and our multidisciplinary team who sits through all of those hard things to listen to, right? And tries not to take them home and comes back the next day ready to do it again. So I just want to thank everyone here for the opportunity and for recognizing 29 years of our CAST process. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I was getting the eye that I definitely needed to say something, and I will. CAST is arguably probably one of the best programs we have available to our county and to our community. I myself have been very involved and currently the chair of the CAST Advisory Board since 2010, started my involvement. It speaks to my commitment to this program, and the program speaks to the commitment that we've made to the community and our youth. Undoubtedly, echoing what others have said as well, is that without the commitment of each member of the CAST team, I don't think that we would be as successful as we are in addressing this horrific problem that we have in all of our communities. So I think having the availability of what CAST offers to our youth is very, very impactful and inspiring. So for that, I appreciate all of you and thank you very much.
Do you want to say it? Supervisor Bohn.
I can only imagine how, when you go home at night, how much you probably hug your own children and are thankful for that because of what you see during the day. So your work is appreciated. And you're right, it is ugly stuff, but it has to be done or else the problem just keeps going and going. So thanks you guys very much.
Supervisor Wilson.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for the burden you carry for all of us. I really want to really appreciate that. And I hope that our community helps carry some of your burden sometimes too. So thanks.
So in the past, I've always, this has been a tough one for me. Right now, my heart's racing. I was a victim of spousal abuse for 16 years, and my children had to testify against their dad. And the CAST folks and family did the interviews on my children, and it was instrumental in our recovery from domestic violence. And I can't thank you guys enough. My daughter was 8 years old and had to see things that no one should. And professional people, and the work that you guys do is just so amazing, and how you get to have those kids open up to you and not feel victims. I just can't thank you enough and how instrumental you are in the recovery of people that have to go through things like this. It's not just for kids that have been sexually abused or for kids that, you know, you think of child abuse and you don't think of a situation where a child has to go through domestic violence in their family. That is child abuse. I was guilty of not getting my kids out of that situation. However, it's very tricky. And, you know, it's a burden I carry, but the CAST team, victim witness, and everything that my family went through towards recovery was because of this team. And I just can't applaud you enough. So thank you. And I want to say it's been 24 years, and it's still, you know, you think you're not affected, but you are. So once again, so we're going to move on. I told you guys we're in proclamation. Today is proclamation. We don't normally do it this way, but we have a very short meeting, and so as the chair, I'm allowing it, and not having all these items pulled and just moving on. And so the next item is which is I'm going to pass to Supervisor Wilson, is proclamation of Young Child Week. Is anybody here for this? Yep, here you come.
Welcome to the Proclathon 2025. There we go.
You can come up to the podium. That's fine. You have something to lean on there.
Yes, hold on to.
All right, welcome.
Hi.
So thank you for being here. And Supervisor Wilson's going to read the proclamation, get a picture, and then y'all can talk, okay?
Thank
All
you.
right, here we go. This is a proclamation of the Board of Supervisors for the County of Humboldt. Whereas all young children deserve quality early learning environments that support them as capable and competent lifelong learners. And whereas nurturing parenting, quality, and accessible childcare and early education programs build strong brains during the critical years from birth to age 5. That really is the most critical wiring of our brains. So very, very critical. Whereas investments in babies and young children have profound impacts on creating a strong and vibrant community. And whereas the Redwood Coast chapter of California Association for the Education of Young Children, First Five, Humboldt, Changing Tides Family Services, North Coast Children's Services, College of the Redwoods Child Development Center, and Cal Poly Children's Center and Child Development Department, in conjunction with the National Association of Education of Young Children, it's a big group, are celebrating the 55th anniversary of the Week of the Young Child. I was born before that, how do you know? So whereas these organizations are working to improve equitable early learning opportunities that can provide a foundation for learning or of learning for children in Humboldt County, and whereas early childhood educators and others who make up the difference, or make a difference in the lives of young children deserve thanks, recognition, and support. And whereas public policies that support early learning for all young children are critical to Humboldt County's families, communities, and economy. And whereas the County of Humboldt has consistently demonstrated its commitment to the county's early childhood care and education workforce by providing resources to stabilize the child care system, resulting in better access to critical child care services for families and preserving those services necessary to local businesses. And whereas the Humboldt County has been steadfast in its advocacy for young children and their families in their annual legislative platform and advocacy actions. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that Humboldt County Board of Supervisors do hereby proclaim April 7th through the 11th, 2025 as the Week of the Child in Humboldt County, California, and encourage all citizens to support and invest in early childhood education and our community. Signed by Chair Bushnell. All right, here we go. You get to hold this, somebody. Who's hold it? Okay. Good to see you. All right. Good. Congratulations.
usual. Thank you so much, Michelle, Chair Bushnell and Supervisor Wilson. My name is Star Mohat. I am currently the Vice President of the Redwood Coast chapter of AUYC. And we have here President-elect Jen Black and Treasurer Sydney Fisher-Larson. She's also the Treasurer of the State Association, and Lo from Changing Tides. I just wanted to say a couple things, really brief. I graduated from Humboldt State, Cal Poly, in child development more than 30 years ago. I worked in family child care homes and preschool classrooms for much of that time and spent a lot of my career at the Cal Poly Children's Center. Now I work in a support role to other child care providers engaged in quality improvement and professional development. And I see every day the commitment, the hard work, and the sacrifice that this profession takes. The National Association for the Education of Young Children Week of the Young Child is designed to lift up that work and celebrate the joys of early childhood, from art, reading, science, and snack time to community outings, honoring teachers, and engaging parents. And speaking of honoring educators, we are really excited as a board to be holding the Friends of Young Child Awards again this year, first time since 2019. So on April 19th, we will be honoring longtime early education influencers in Humboldt County who've taught children and adults and led agencies and staff and demonstrated leadership to so many of us over the years. So I'm here to say thank you today to all of the dedicated professionals who work with young children and their families, and also especially to you, our Board of Supervisors, for recognizing and honoring that work. And you don't just pay lip service, because you have backed it with real policies and resources that continue to make a difference every day. So thank you so much.
Does anybody else want to say anything? Nope, there they go. Well, I just want to say thanks for bringing this. I had Supervisor Wilson bring it, although I sponsored it just because it's a lot of talking up here for me with all the proclamations. I can say that childcare for children is probably one of the most stressful things young families go through. You know, I had to, being a single mom, after all the other stuff I talked about, being a single mom with having 3 children, had to take my kids to work often. And it is so stressful, and childcare is really hard to find in Humboldt County. And I don't think there's one person that isn't affected by, you know, oh, my child's sick today, now what do I do? They can't go to child or daycare, or the daycare provider is sick, so now what do I do? And so it affects everything and everybody in work and all kinds of things. So thank you for the having me bring the proclamation and for all that you do. And do you want to say something? Or Carrie, do you want to? No? Okay.
You heard me talking about childcare.
Yep. Okay.
Support.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you. And does the board want to say anything? Supervisor Wilson and then Supervisor Bohn.
Yeah, I just want to say that it is true that, you know, on this board, sometimes we can be guilty of bickering about all kinds of things. But in general, this is a subject that we find a lot of unanimity on. And I respect all the work of this organization and the plethora of organizations named here in the proclamation. As I was saying, the first 5 years of development for a child is really probably the most important. I mean, of course, it's all important, but really the how a brain develops and what it does in the for, you know, in terms of the health of the person is immensely important. And then the list of all those things, I didn't hear the word play, which is also very, very important for children at that age. And I want to thank all those organizations for creating those spaces where that can happen too. So thank you.
Supervisor Bohn?
Well, just obviously first 5 and Mary Ann and everything else, but I saw a great article on Changing Tides. Was it on TV or something? Okay, I knew I saw it somewhere. I'm old. I forget what I had for breakfast. But and it was a great article about all the different variations. And I always laugh because I always laugh when I go by Changing Tides because that's where I used to go rent my lawnmower once a week. My dad would give me $2, and there used to be a lawnmower shop right there. So I lived at the end of that street. But I think you guys, watching that, I was aware, but it was great for the public to be aware of everything. And then what the youth, all the different youth organizations. So I really appreciate all the work being done. And yeah, it's the one thing we don't argue about is, and I don't want to say it's argue, we have differing views. But it's kind of hard to argue about what's right for kids. We see it every day, so.
Thank you. So our next proclamation, we're going to continue on, is proclamation recognizing Humboldt sponsors for their $3 million total grant award. This is brought to us by Supervisor Bohn. Ladies, come forward.
Chair Bushnell, while they come up, if I can just make a point of order comment that this item was pulled, and instead we're just hearing it in line on the consent calendar.
Yes, because we're not doing our normal consent calendar critiquing. So Supervisor Bohn.
So, yeah, these guys are probably most famous for is the rummage sale. And the rummage sale, they all ran out of stuff. So so that was world famous. So then they do a night under the stars, and they do not doing it this year, but we've had a couple years of a drive-through chicken dinner and multiple. But the idea of a small, completely volunteer organization coming up with $3 million to give back, as I said earlier, to the youth is pretty amazing. And what's amazing is I get to know a lot of them, and I mean, school administrators, bookkeepers, accountants, sisters. Denise, have you been doing this 40 years? You have, I know. Because I, yeah. I remember years ago, 40 plus years ago. But anyway, it's pretty amazing what they do. And again, I think it was in '73 it finally came around. And I can tell you, Redwood Fields, when you find, from hugs to all that stuff. But I got a very large grant from them 32 years ago. And Judy Rice brought it out to the ball fields, and we did, and for Redwood Fields, and because it was a youth-only recreation complex. And just so you know, there's been over 16,000 games played out there since, and probably 40,000 practices, and you can figure out how many kids. I've got grandparents who played out there, so it's getting pretty fun. So this is it to recognize a proclamation to recognize Humboldt sponsors for $3 million in total grants. Whereas in April 2025, Humboldt sponsors is celebrating the milestone of having awarded more than $3 million in grant funds to local nonprofit youth-related organizations since 1971. Whereas Humboldt sponsors, a local non-profitable charitable organization, originated in 1962 as the Humboldt Circle of the Florence Crittenden Home of San Francisco, and contributed funds exclusively to this home for unwed mothers. Whereas in 1970, the Humboldt Circle severed its connection to the Florence Crittenden Home in order to devote all its energies and charitable causes right here in Humboldt County. Whereas Humboldt Sponsors was officially incorporated in May 1971, and in 1973 voted to use its funds solely to benefit Humboldt County youth. Whereas Humboldt Sponsors offers grants in support of education, recreation, cultural enrichment opportunities to assist youth-oriented programs and provide basic needs. Whereas this month, Humboldt Sponsors will award $100,137 among 77 individual grants to local community organizations from one end of the county to the other and programs serving Humboldt County youth. Whereas the grand total of funds awarded by Humboldt sponsors since 1971 has officially surpassed the $3 million mark. Now therefore be proclaimed that the Humboldt County Board of Supervisors commends Humboldt sponsors for reaching this $3 million milestone and for serving thousands of children in Humboldt County since 1971. We had a bunch of constraints, so we don't blame them.
In here, honorary member.
Oh, that's right.
Old person. Yeah, the oldest person.
Whoops.
Appreciate you.
I'll say something. Oh, yeah. Go, Kim.
Of course,
Go, Chris.
No.
Yeah, you can stay up there.
For staying with you.
Pull me up. Thank you, Rex and supervisors. I'm Kim Cobine, president of Humboldt Sponsors currently. Amy Hunt will be following me up come May. This is really an honor to be a part of this. It is, we go out and do visitations to the programs that we give grants to, and it's very heartwarming to see what our grant money does for the community and for the kids in this county. It's really important work that we do. But it's not just our current group. This has been going on since 1971, and the past members throughout this community and past presidents whom we are going to honor this year at our spring function. But it's just an amazing number of people who have volunteered to make this happen. And we just hope that the community will continue to support us. Joining is every cent that comes in from membership goes directly to the grants along with our fundraising activities. So we appreciate any community support that we can get, and thank you very much again. Anybody else speak down?
Bringing it back to the board, Supervisor Wilson.
Well, I would say accounting for inflation, you're over 3 million. Just gonna put it out there, and including the growth of the investment itself in the community. And so thank you so much for all your work.
Supervisor Bohn.
And I always appreciate it. I think about 4 or 5 years ago or longer, I don't know, I got to be an honorary member. Yes, you are. So I have a little, they actually framed mine. We didn't frame it. But anyway, I appreciate it. I get to help with a couple fundraisers and actually get to help with a couple things that aren't fundraisers. They're just fun. So they're a fun bunch too. They have a lot of fun raising money for our youth, and I don't think we can ever question anybody that goes out and volunteers to raise funds for youth and provide for our youth, because I can tell you, it must be the day of the kids. I mean, think about this day of the kids, because if we do more of what everybody else is doing, it makes Kyla and Stacy and everybody's job with what they do a lot easier because we have less issues. So look out for our youth.
So I think, Dana, you said 40-something years?
Oh, it's right around 40, because I've been married to Dean for 40 years, and my mother-in-law, Carolyn, got me involved.
So when people ask me, how can we make a difference, I always say, if you're going to do some volunteerism or invest in your community, stick with it and continue it, because the more you invest your volunteerism and continue with it, the better it is, or the greater it is for the county that you're serving. And so there's dedication definitely going on here. $3 million, wow. And Supervisor Bohn's right, it makes everybody else's job easier, law enforcement and Stacy's office, if those interactions happen early and they're positive and effective on the young children of our community. So thanks so much. Okay. So with that, it's an up and down on these proclamations. This is a happy thing. Now we're going to move on to something else. Humboldt County Board of Supervisors proclamation in honor of National Crime Victims' Right Week. And I think that is Stacy coming back up, or who's Kyla and same group? Okay. Whereas since 1982, the District Attorney's Victim Witness Office has provided service to thousands of crime victims, witness, and their families each year. And whereas victims of crime and their loved ones often face severe financial, physical, and sociological trauma, and whereas victim witness advocates and other staff are available to answer questions and help victims and their families cope with trauma they have experienced, as well as the often complicated criminal justice system, and whereas an effective and fair criminal justice system must recognize the rights of victims and balance them with those of the accused, and whereas all agencies are encouraged to strengthen partnership to coordinate district and referral services to crime victims, and whereas all citizens are encouraged to increase their awareness of the impact of violent crime, the needs of crime victims, and the vital services DA Victim Witness has to offer. Now, therefore, let it be proclaimed that Humboldt County Board of Supervisors recognizes April 6th through the 12th, 2025 as National Crime Victim Rights Week, and expresses appreciation to the District Attorney's Victim Witness Office for the 43 years of dedicated service to the citizens of Humboldt County.
Thank you, Chair Bushnell. Thank you to the board for recognizing National Crime Victims' Rights Week. Much with the CAST team, I'm extremely proud of the team of advocates that we have in the District Attorney's Victim Witness Program. They have well over 1,000 contacts, really it's into the thousands, with individuals during the course of 1 year's time, people that have been directly impacted by crime that's occurred within our community. And oftentimes the victims that our advocates are working with are really struggling through one of the most difficult parts of their lives. So to have someone there that can assist them through the complicated justice system, a system that oftentimes feels that it's really going against the victims and their rights, but to have someone by their side that's there to speak on their behalf and help to often, interpret and translate the jargon that comes from the lawyers and the legal jargon that happens in court, and it can be really confusing. And so just to have someone there to help translate, help assist in receiving compensation for direct losses is of tremendous value. And I really want to also express my gratitude to the victims that are able and willing to come forward and to report their crimes that occurred. And it really is a very brave thing to do, to recognize that the offender should be held accountable and that the victim really does have an important part in helping us to achieve justice on their behalf. So my gratitude to all victims within the community, and I do want to encourage folks to come forward. We're there, we want to support you, we want to assist. It's tough, it requires a lot of patience, a lot of giving, but we're there to help you achieve justice, and so please do that, and thank you again to the board for recognizing.
Thank you. Does anybody from the board want to say anything? Supervisor Bohn?
Thanks.
So thank you. There's been lots of your folks that work for the Victim Witness Program, how they interact with the folks in the community that have experienced crime. Last year, or 3 years ago, actually, there was a very high-profile case from Alder Point where a young man was murdered, and the family, not experiencing obviously that before, really leaned on victim witness, and they were so instrumental in helping them through the process of the court trial and the recovery of going through that and getting justice for their son. And I've seen it, the counseling that's provided, all the items that are provided to families of crime, and it's so amazing on, in Humboldt County. I've seen it in other counties as well, play such a vital role in recovery to victims. So thanks again. Okay, this is my last one. Humboldt County Board of Supervisors proclamation, Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Is anybody here for this proclamation? Okay, come forward, please. Hi. Welcome. Whereas sexualized violence affects children, youth, adult, and elders of all genders from all racial, cultural, and economic backgrounds with public health and social justice implications for every person in Humboldt County. And whereas staff and volunteers of the North Coast Rape Crisis Team provide 24-hour emergency response services to survivors and their significant others, and believe that prevention and intervention are essential to a healthy community. And whereas no one person, organization, agency, or community can eliminate sexual assault on their own, but can, through collaboration and partnership, work together to support those impacted, improve responses, and ensure that survivors are not re-victimized. Now, therefore, let it be proclaimed that the Humboldt County Board of Supervisors reaffirms its commitment to the North Coast Rape Crisis Team and its values of HEAL. Help survivors by meeting them where they are at, empower them throughout their healing journey, affirm their choices, listen to and believe their truths, and acknowledge April 2025 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. With you? Yeah. You're welcome to say something.
Good morning. Thank you to the board. My name is Maria Sepulveda. I work with the North Coast Rape Crisis Team as our bilingual specialist. We would like to thank you for recognizing and supporting our agency for April 2025 being National Sexual Assault Awareness Month. For over 50 years, our agency has provided free and confidential services to survivors of sexual assault, and this has included our 24-hour bilingual line, accompaniment services to evidentiary exams, as well as law enforcement interviews, providing free crisis intervention services and financial assistance. This past year alone, we served over 599 survivors here in Humboldt County alone, and we wouldn't be able to do this work without our community partners, which include law enforcement, the district attorney's office, other community agencies, and tribal organizations. However, we are seeing that with these possible looming funding cuts and the victims of crime funds being cut as well, our services might cease to exist. We are a grant-funded organization, and so we do look to the community to be able to help support us being able to continue to provide these services to survivors. If you are interested in finding out how you can support our agency, you can go onto our website. It's ncrct.org, and you can go on there and look into the volunteer work that we do, as well as kind of seeing how you can support our fundraisers and upcoming benefits. And we'd like to thank the community as well for showing up for our first gala that we had over this past weekend. We had an incredible turnout, and so we would like to thank the community, and I am available if anyone has any questions.
Thank you. Thank you for all your team does, and I think Supervisor Bohn has a comment.
Yeah, you guys have been around for a while. I wanted to applaud you on your fundraiser on Saturday night. I had another one at Blue Lake Casino for Cal Poly, but I knew a lot of people that went, had a lot of phone calls. Are you going tonight? And I said, no, I'm going the other way. But I think for your first one out of the chute and everything else, I heard it went over really well, and it's a good way to get out and touch the community in a different aspect. So thanks for everything you do. And you think about it, 590 touches just with what your group has had, and you take a look, you cut it, 98% of them women.
I would say most of the people that we serve are going to be children and families, and so we work with a lot of youth in terms of one of the big roles that we play comes within working with the schools. We do a lot of prevention programs. So, for example, at Arcata High, we help out with the Check It Club. And so there we're able to work with students on the bystander intervention program and working through like talking about prevention within the community as well.
Well, it is appreciated, and that's a high number. When you think about our population, that's a high number. And so I appreciate everything you do.
Supervisor Wilson?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for all you do, but highlight the prevention work that you guys, that's been really important, I think, for our youth and everybody. It's really changing the culture, and so that's something that's really hard to do, and I encourage folks to support you, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Our next proclamation is April 7th through the 13th, National Public Health Week in Humboldt County. This is brought to us by Supervisor Arroyo, who is absent today, and Supervisor Wilson will be reading it. Hi, Sophia. Come on up. You can come to the podium. Okay. That's fine.
All right, here we go. This is a proclamation from the Humboldt County Board of Supervisors for National Public Health Week. Whereas this year, National Public Health Week is the week of April 7th to the 13th of 2025, and the theme is It Starts Here. And whereas the goal of this year's National Public Health Week is recognizing the contributions of public health and improving the health of the people of the U.S. and achieving health equity. And whereas this year's event will also look back on 30 years of observances and public health progress, and whereas this recognition also acknowledges that many community services and strengths support our well-being, and whereas those social determinants of health include basic infrastructure, arts and culture, housing, education, access to food and health care, and much more, and whereas the priorities of the 2022-27 Humboldt County Community Health Improvement Plan include housing insecurity, houselessness, behavioral health, suicide prevention, substance abuse, healthy beginnings, and adverse childhood experiences, and whereas many organizations have joined together to support the Live Well Humboldt initiative to better understand the related data and the unfair differences experienced by disadvantaged communities and their root causes, and whereas Live Well Humboldt depends on the effort of many health improvement coalitions focused on a range of strategies, from creating safe environments by reducing access to lethal means, to empowering people to reach out for help when they need it, to advocating for policies to end housing instability and increasing protective factors for young people. Now, therefore, let it be proclaimed that the Humboldt County Board of Supervisors recognizes the week of April 7th to the 13th as National Public Health Week and encourages everyone, including public health professionals, students, elected leaders, activists, and the community, to step in and do what they can to make our world a more equitable, safe, and healthy and just place. And this is signed by Supervisor Michelle Bushnell. Yeah, before I step down, I just want to say I actually worked for our environmental health department here at Humboldt County many years ago, and just as this proclamation sort of puts out there or enlightens us, is that public health is basically the health of not just the public but the people in it, but the whole construct of our civil society holding it together so that we can live longer, better, more prosperous, and happy lives by being healthier, because that's how we do it, whether it's mental health or our physical health or our emotional health or all of those things. They're all connected, and I'm just grateful to the work of our team here and the network of providers and that they work with to help us move in that direction. And it's never ending. I'm going to say it's just we know what we're going for, but that work is always happening. And so I really, really want to appreciate the work you do, and I'm going to bring you this proclamation. All right, who's going to hold it? I'm going to give it to you. You decide. All right. Yeah. Here we are.
Sorry, I'm wearing
No, we're good. And 3, 2, and 1. Let's take one more. 3, 2, and 1. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You all don't have to leave while I, they're like, peace. Good morning, your board. I'm Sophia Pereira, Public Health Director for the Humboldt County Department of Health and Human Services. Thank you so much for this proclamation. As the proclamation, spoke to, in public health, we focus mainly on prevention, preventing people from getting hurt and sick to begin with. So while healthcare supports an individual's care, public health cares for the overall community's health. Our public health branch is made up of nurses, scientists, health educators, and other public health professionals who are invested in improving our quality of life. And I was joined here by some of our colleagues and community partners that have been really active in Live Well Humboldt, as well as other programs that we do in public health. Public health fights the spread of disease. Our nurses and disease investigators connect community members to testing and treatment. Our food inspectors make sure food is prepared safely. Public health supports youth and families. Our health educators work with aging adults on falls prevention and provide substance use prevention education in our local schools. Public health works on policies that protect youth from accessing harmful substances, from commercial tobacco and nicotine products to nitrous oxide. And we are actively working with Supervisors Bushnell and Wilson on a nitrous oxide sales ban, which we plan to bring in the very near future to your board. We are so proud to serve our community in these ways. While public health may be facing some uncertainty right now, our purpose remains as certain as ever. Protecting our community's health and improving our community's health will always be our North Star. So thank you so much to your board for believing in this work, supporting this work, seeing the value it provides, and supporting our staff that really rely on that support and encouragement when we're facing uncertainties. But we are moving forward, and so your support throughout the year also means so much. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say, as what you think public health is, it's expanded well beyond that. As Sophia mentioned, Supervisor Wilson and myself have been working on a nitrous oxide ban. You wouldn't think a food grade product is something that you would be something in public health's arena, but it is. And it is so many things that you don't even think about. And I appreciate the work that you and your colleagues do for Humboldt County and for the families and community members. Thank you. Supervisor Wilson.
I just wanted to add, the success of public health is in the things you don't see. So they're the outbreaks that don't happen. They're the accidents that don't happen. They're, the public health is in terms of a discipline and what it is was created out of things that did happen that we as society decide we don't want to have happen again, or to try and reduce those things. And so again, that the success is in all the things that we don't see. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Our next one is going to be proclaim the week of April 13th through 19th, 2025 National Dispatcher Appreciation Week in Humboldt County. Thanks, the sheriff and whoever else, please come forward. And this is brought to us by Supervisor Bohn.
Oh, they're coming.
Lindsay's
There you go.
coming. Captain Quinnell, come on up. Thank you, sir. All right. Get right here. There we go. Come on. She's really not shy.
And I have to, I'll throw in that little ad lib before I read this, that our dispatch does, I go up there every once in a while, and it gets pretty hectic up there, but it's pretty amazing. But Saturday morning around 11 o'clock, I was sitting in my office working on the agenda. I'm slow, so I have to come in on the weekends. And I'm looking, and I get a text from Tracy upstairs saying, "Hey, Rex, you might want to move your pickup. They look like they're having a gathering out front." So I was out front, and they were all out there, so I left about 10 after 11, and they got out of the way so they could have a free run of the street right there. So they had their gathering. But who does that? Dispatch. I mean, who does that? Who keeps an eye on what's going on? Dispatch. So with that, Humboldt County Board of Supervisors proclamation in honor of Dispatcher Appreciation Week. Whereas the week of April 13th through the 19th, 2025 marks Dispatcher Appreciation Week, we want to recognize our incredible Humboldt County dispatchers, the unseen heroes who keep our deputies and communities safe. Whereas life and death emergencies can occur at any time, and dispatchers are the first and most critical link in that amount.
Let's go, Morgan.
Thanks for showing up, Morgan. Yeah. First and most critical link in that moment when a citizen needs emergency assistance from law enforcement or other emergency services. Whereas a citizen may only call 911 once in their lifetime, and the calm, reassuring voice in time of need is priceless to our community. They have become experts in crisis intervention, de-escalation. Dispatchers serve the public daily in countless ways without recognition of their outstanding services. And whereas an emergency communications dispatcher is always poised, ready to answer a call for service, and no matter how stressful, frightening, or tragic that call may be, the training and experience they have to ensure they don't panic or freeze, but remain courageous, calm as they perform their duties in the face of these challenging times. Whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of deputies is crucial to the protection of life and preservation of property, and the safety of those deputies is dependent on the quality and accuracy of information obtained by the dispatcher from citizens who telephone the Humboldt County Sheriff's Communications Center. Whereas a dispatcher is able to multitask like no other person, they are able to answer a 911 call, answer an internal phone line, listen and respond to the radio, monitor other law enforcement jurisdictions, and enter essential data into the computer, talk to fellow dispatchers, deliver exceptional service in a dedicated, diligent, and compassionate manner, all at the same time. And whereas the emergency court, as the Sheriff's Emergency Communications Center answered 121,674 public calls in 2024, of which 24,867 were 911 calls, dispatched 65,503 calls for service. Our dispatchers answered 911 calls within 15 seconds, 98.6% of the time, which far exceeds the national standard of 90% of calls answered within 15 seconds. Whereas the Humboldt County Sheriff's Office dispatcher team has a combined 84 years of service. How many of those years, Mark? No, anyway.
So rude.
I heard that.
And each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in the past year. Now, therefore, it be proclaimed that the Humboldt County Supervisors, Sheriff William Hansel, and the staff of the Humboldt County Sheriff's Office hereby commends and thanks the Humboldt County dispatchers for their service to this community.
We'll get a picture first, then you gotta talk. Yes. Morgan, Lindsay, get up there. No, hell no, I'm standing right in the middle. Right in the middle. Right in the middle. You don't do anything, you're just Oh, wait. second? Come on over here for a second.
Now you get to talk.
Yes. Captain Quinnell is the manager of the unit, but as we know, we have an outstanding emergency communications center. All of you have been up there. You've seen it. You've seen the work just like Rex has talked about. They can multitask like no business. No one else can do what they do up there, and it's pretty amazing. And how they do it and stay calm all at the same time is also so amazing. And so I just really appreciate everything they do. And they really are the unsung heroes of public safety here in Humboldt County. They are the public servants that work nights, weekends, that oftentimes do it. One or two dispatchers do all of it, and often working, double shifts because of short staffing. And so I'm really thankful for Morgan's leadership in this. And oftentimes holding the dispatchers together. It's a team. Camaraderie is big, but also it's an essential service here in Humboldt County. And like you said, someone may call dispatch or 911 once in their lifetime, and it's that service they receive from our professional dispatchers that really do make a difference. And so oftentimes it goes unnoticed, and there's times when we do let those 911 tapes out there and you can see it, the professionalism and what they have to deal with. And again, I'm amazed every single time. And I'd like Morgan to say a few words.
Well, lucky for me, I know that you guys have a long list of proclamations to get through, but I will echo what the sheriff said in the proclamation itself, and thank you for recognizing and honoring the work that the dispatchers do. They really, truly are the unsung heroes, and oftentimes out of sight, out of mind, but the work that they all do is immeasurable, and the vital role that they play in public safety is pretty paramount. So, thank you.
Thanks. Either one, Captain Cornell, do you want to say?
I think it's all been said.
Okay.
Again, I just echo what the sheriff and Morgan said. They are the unsung heroes, and we can't do our jobs without them. And I personally would like to thank the Emergency Communications Center staff for everything that they do for our organization and our community. So thank you for the recognition.
And one last thing, is the county decided about 5 years ago to replace our radio infrastructure, and this is a part of it, the ability to communicate countywide. And we're on the backward hill of this project being complete, and hopefully this year it'll be completed, which will enhance our ability to offer our services throughout the county and be able to communicate throughout the county. So thank you. I appreciate the support.
There's, being so rural, our county, there's lots of areas that are dead spaces, as they call them, and you can't, even the deputies out responding can't get out on those systems, or anybody to call 911s. Often people are driving to a spot where they can get to 911. I commend your team. Oftentimes, it's not always the 911 caller that is having the traumatic issue, but it is sometimes, right? And so you guys are the first ones that talk to that person, and that it is everlasting in those situations where you keep them calm, you give them direction, you tell them help is on the way. You're their only lifeline at that very moment, and it's so important to whoever is having that emergency. So thank you from everybody in Humboldt County. And I'll bring it back to Supervisor Bohn.
Well, I think it's been 5-6 years. I remember the radio issue, but the biggest problem is where the radio issues, the dark spots or the dead spots, are exactly the place. If we have one deputy there, we're lucky. Right. And if he doesn't have connection with the dispatchers to tell him what's going on, where it's going on, his backup is the dispatcher. Right. And the next sheriff could be 30, 45 minutes away, depending if they're Alder Point, depending if they're out in Petrolia, depending if they're, out in Orleans. So it's great that radio service will be up, running, and actually in the 21st century in communications. So.
Before I go to Supervisor Wilson, I also want to recognize, I know a lot of folks come in and say, I'm going to be a dispatcher. And they get up there and they do the training, and I'm not going to be a dispatcher because it is a unique person that can do that work, that can multitask, that can do a lot of things at once and think and type in and call and do all the things. And so you go through a lot of training people and realizing, oh, this one's not going to work out, so then you have to restart that process. I know you guys are short-staffed often, and that is because it's a unique person that can do this type of work. So for all of the dispatchers, not only Humboldt County dispatchers, but all. It's a lot of training and a lot of hard work. And so we're going to go to Supervisor Wilson.
Yes, Sheriff, as you know, is very supportive of the update for the radio system. I think it's very, very important. But I mean, it's kind of useless without the people who operate it and who are able to transmit cool and calm messaging to our emergency services and everybody else. I mean, sometimes people call with the weirdest things. I've seen it. And I want to appreciate the professionalism as well in those times. And as we update that technology, I want to note that the last time I've seen a pneumatic tube in a building is in the dispatch. So it is a mix of the old and new. It still works. Yeah, just it can be extremely stressful. We've seen it, we know it, and as Supervisor Bushnell said, it's not for everybody. And we've actually had a lot of folks in here have a lot of stressful jobs today, and I just want to thank everybody for their hard work, and thank you guys.
Thank you.
So we're going to go to our, I think our last proclamation, and I think the sheriff's going to stay up here for this one. So we are going to proclaim the week of April 13th through the 19th, 2025 as Animal Officer Appreciation Week in Humboldt County. This is brought to us today by Supervisor Madrone, who is not present, and so Supervisor Wilson is going to present this proclamation. Welcome.
All right, so this is the last chapter of Proclathon 2025, but a good one. Humboldt County Board of Supervisors proclamation in honor of Animal Control Officer Appreciation Week. Whereas National Animal Control Officer Appreciation Week is observed from April 13th to the 19th, providing an opportunity for communities to better understand the vital role of animal control officers and express gratitude for their service. While outdated portrayals of the evil dog catcher have contributed to misconceptions, the reality is that the animal control officers put their lives on the line to protect both animals and especially those that are sick or injured, and the public from potentially dangerous or diseased animals. Again, part of our public health network for sure. Whereas Humboldt County's Sheriff's Animal Shelter cares for shelters and feeds approximately 1,400 dogs, cats, and other animals a year. We'll have to find out what those other animals are. And whereas animal control officers respond to approximately 2,200 calls for service in a year, that's a lot. And whereas the animal control officers take approximately 100 dog bite reports a year, those are the ones that are reported. Whereas the animal shelter successfully adopts 548 animals in 2024. One of them, no, that was last year. Nandor the Relentless, my cat. Whereas the animal shelter has 15 employees, 60 volunteers who are true heroes, dedicating their hearts and energy to giving animals a second chance at love and a forever home. Their compassion, resilience, and unwavering commitment change countless lives, both animal and human. And whereas last year the community supported the shelter and our animal control officers by donating just over $50,000 to the Emergency Medical Fund and 8,760 hours of time to ensure that those abandoned animals are taken care of. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Humboldt County Board of Supervisors, Sheriff William Hansel, and the staff of the Humboldt County Sheriff's Office hereby commends and thanks the Humboldt County Animal Control Officers for their service and community. Signed, Chair Bushnell.
Take a picture. All right, except let's put Supervisor Wilson in the middle.
Oh, sure, why not?
Perfect.
Here, you hold this, though.
There you go.
There you go. All right. Bonk. Sorry, I got two arms. All right.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, you're Mike. Appreciate it. All right, you saved the best for last, okay? So thank you for honoring our animal control officers and just the animal shelter in general. I mean, these people go above and beyond. I mean, not only are they always short-staffed, it is like the U.S. Postal Service. This never ends, right? I mean, the animals continuously come in. Strays, dog bites, animal reports, investigations. Our animal control officers are on the move constantly. And so, well, you know, one of the things, what's interesting when it comes to animals, I mean, I can give someone a ticket, I can tow their car, I can take them to jail, but as soon as I take their animal, the fight's on, oftentimes, right? And so, but they are cool, calm, and collective. Oftentimes they incorporate a lot of a crisis intervention training and try to talk people into, you know, compliance with whatever we need them to do. And not only, you know, do they do it well, they do it professionally. They you know, they treat the animals so well up there. You know, there are times when we do have to euthanize an animal, but those are very, very rare because our staff and our volunteers go above and beyond to try and find rescues, to try and find avenues to, you know, to ship some of these animals off that maybe aren't adoptable. And I commend our group for that. I know there's stresses constantly on Andra and her team. Because again, there's just a lot to this job. And so by you appreciating them, you know, shows a lot because again, these are the unsung heroes. So, and Andra hates the spotlight. So we're forcing her to be here today is good, but I think the recognition is well worth it. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi. Thank you for the recognition of the and the proclamation for National Animal Care and Control Appreciation Week. It used to be just animal control appreciation, but it is an encompassing industry, and that we're taking care of not only enforcing the animal regulations, but also providing care for the animals. As far as some of the others that were mentioned, just recently we had an emerald tree boa snake, which I've never seen before in my 20 years plus doing this. And then currently right now we have 10 rabbits from babies to adults that are going to be available for adoption next week.
Just in time for Easter.
Just in time for Easter. But we also want to make sure that we encourage people that they are getting these animals not because it's bunnies and it's Easter, but that it's because that they're going to commit to caring for that animal for its life, which for a rabbit can range anywhere from 5 to 10 years, depending on the size and all that. Yeah, well, that was part of the problem that we had, is that we had 7 rabbits brought in, and 4 of them were female who had already been bred before they got to us. And so by the time they were ready to go out for adoption, they were having babies. And then 2 months later, now those babies are ready to go into new homes. The moms have not been with any boys, and so we're all set for not continuing to procreate. But you know, it's a industry that is multifaceted. We go from one funny thing like rabbits to vicious dogs that are threatening our community, and my animal control officers are responding to those calls. And it is a work of compassion that takes very dedicated and hardworking individuals to do it. So thanks again.
Thank you.
If people want to adopt an animal, how do they do that?
Give us a call. It's
a long process, but give us a call, please.
Well, thank you. Today, you know, we have seen a lot of, you know, sometimes I have people say, what does Humboldt County government do? And today we did everything from sheriff's department to dispatchers to the DA to public health, and a lot of proclamations to childcare. And it's a lot of what makes the community run, and it is very dependent on all these people. And there was a lot of happy things today and not so happy things, but it is what makes us work as a community. So I want to say thank you. Your guys' facility, it's a heartbreaking facility at times, and you guys see a lot of things. Domesticating animals and then not taking care of them is just a really sad thing. It breaks my heart when I see that happen, or someone passes away and they have a dog that nobody wants, and so it's so important to have that in our community. And in the community, I get a lot of calls in Southern Humboldt about dogs, you know, with the cultivation community that was around. They left dogs behind and just left them. It's been up to your office to really handle that in the sheriff's office, and so I really appreciate all that you do. And before we go on, though, I think someone new is taking pictures. Who do you have there, Sheriff Hansel?
Summer Hanson. This is one of our public information officers.
Well, thank
you.
you.
Yeah, so we
Welcome,
appreciate
Summer.
it.
Thank you. So bringing it back to the board, is there any other comments for, Supervisor Wilson?
Yeah, just that the nexus with the public health part, I think, is pretty important. A lot of the times when I'm interfacing with our animal control folks, of course, there's the fun times picking up animals at the shelter there and giving them a home. That's great. But I have to say, oftentimes we're dealing with code enforcement issues, and what I mean by that are locations where the residents or the occupants, I guess you might say, things have gone sideways. And there's public health issues around not just animals, but also sewage or other issues like that. And it's not just public health issues around vicious animals that can be attacking people in the neighborhood, which again, interfacing with our code enforcement and then with our public health. I just want to thank you for, you guys have always been there and attentive to these situations and interfacing very well. And also I want to recognize that from a public health perspective, rabies is real. And your role in helping keep that at bay is something, I think, again, something we don't see. But before we had these institutions like animal control and public health, it was a real thing, a real threat, and it's still out there. And so I really want to appreciate the work that you guys do, not just for our animals, but also for our greater human environment, making it safer and healthier for everybody. So thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Bohn.
As far as other animals go, I think you and I chased some goats on Walnut Avenue a few years ago, and yeah, that was a goat wrangler. But I thought it was pretty funny, and so the variety of animals, and there's a long story that my second day on the job was involved with Anna, and I got a lesson from them very well. So I appreciate the fact we can stop you guys in the hall and say, hey, I've got this issue. I want to let you know, if you ever wonder if they play favorites, I came home to one of those notes on my front door saying, hey, your dog barks too much, your neighbors complain. It's a little bit of separation anxiety. And he's not licensed. He is licensed now, so by the way. So let it lapse, I'm sorry. But anyway, I appreciate you do, and when I got the letter, I'm probably not like most people, I laughed. I said, busted. So anyway, appreciate everything you do, and I'll wrangle goats with you anytime you want. So
Thank you. So as Supervisor Wilson said, that's our proclamation marathon coming to a conclusion. However, we're going to continue with our consent calendar. So I'll bring it back to this board if anybody has anything else to say on the consent calendar today. Nope.
I'll move consent.
Sure. Any second? Yeah.
yeah, I want to second the longest consent calendar I think I can remember.
So we have a first and a second. We need to go out to public comment. However, I'm going to just recognize and thank Ben McWhorter. He was on the aviation committee for me. He has stepped down from there, and so I appreciate his willingness and dedication to Humboldt County. And as always, we have lots of committees that need people. So if you're interested, you can contact our clerk of the board, Tracy D'Amico, and submit an application. We have a variety of openings right now. So with that, we'll go out to public comment. First, we'll go to the Zoom. Nikki?
Thank you, Chair Bushnell. We do have a caller, caller 7718, *6 to unmute, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Good morning. Yeah, you did set a record. I had an hour and 30 minutes to Google the definition of consent calendar. My comments on it are basically, I want to thank the animal shelter. It looks like fortunately, and I want to thank Sheriff Hansel because they've done some refiguring, and I think Blue Lake has $15,000 more coming into it from the state than going out to the sheriff. There are those in our community who would like to use some of that, if not all of it, if necessary, to go ahead and have the animal control officers actually do some patrolling in Blue Lake. So hopefully that will come to fruition. That will be a good thing. I also did want to reach out on item number 25, Planning and Building Department. You're submitting for a home investment partnership grant application for $1.25 million for continuation of a first-time buyer deferred loan payment. I strongly support this. I'm hoping that somehow that can be structured to enable people to get into tiny homes and be used, maybe a partnership put together with Coast Central or some other local bank to enable people to afford homes. So that's about all anybody can afford these days. And for some of us are looking at trying to satisfy that need. Hopefully this could be a part for that puzzle. I'm not optimistic on grants as far as that goes at the minute. I'll speak to that again a little bit further. But I did want to thank the sheriff for actually lowering the rate that Blue Lake would have to pay for that service. And I also wanted to thank the county for trying to get this homeowner partnership. Is very important for the young people to have a house. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, and we have no more callers.
Okay, thank you. Is there any public comment in the room? Hi, welcome.
Hi. As an AFSCME union member, I'm here to speak, and I just want to point out that the people who you gave some accolades to today, public health workers, are majority AFSCME members, and they are asking for respect during the negotiation for a contract. I'd also like to point out that if county employees are your employees, that a large amount of your employees are considered working poor because they aren't paid anything near enough to live. And I just want you to think about that. If you like the working people, I've heard some people proclaim that, say that they've been union members for many, many years. This is your time to stand up and stand with us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Hi, welcome. Do you need to sit down, ma'am? Okay.
I'll be okay as soon as I give them my
Okay, welcome.
My name is Phyllis Coy. I don't know if any of you have received a notice from AT&T regarding in-person public participation hearings in regards to the California Public Utilities Commission rulemaking 24-06.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, I think this is the next comment on non-agenda items.
Oh, is that on the agenda?
Yeah, so we're going to take a vote on this, and then you can come back up.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I
No
didn't realize
worries.
that.
No,
Okay.
no, that's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. You could stay right there if you want, or sit right in the front row, and we'll just call you back up. Are there any other public comments on the consent calendar today? Okay, so I'm going to close public comment, and we're going to come back to this board. We have a first and a second. And there you go.
Thank you. Motion carries 3-0.
Okay, so we are going to go next to non-agenda public comment, and we're going to start with the Zoom first. Nikki, is there anybody on?
Yes, Chair Bushnell, we have 7718, *6 to unmute, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Well, technology seems to be working today, so I did submit some of my comments in writing. So maybe some people will look at those. It's really interesting times out there. With FEMA being, my understanding, disbanded, I think that the county's out something like maybe $7 million is my understanding, and money owed them, possibly. Major grants that were going forward. City of Blue Lake had one for, I think, 75% share for like about a $2.3 million one. And I was speaking with the people back there, and of course that's on jeopardy. That was to replace our water tanks, one of which is leaking like a sieve. My understanding is there's rumors out there that even the Coastal Commission may be disbanded with policy changes. Don't know. I know we're doing lots of things out there, you know, all our presentations and stuff. We're kind of, be well, rainbows and unicorns. But you really need to start looking at some things that are actually happening. And I wish I could say more positive things about a lot of those comments were made. That's not the reality that I run into in specific situations. You're going to need to be able to think outside the box and do what's in the society's best interest during this time. So I think I'll leave my comments at that for today, and I'll have a few more comments on some other topics specifically. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. So this is going to be public comment in the room on non-agenda items. Now's your turn, ma'am. You can go forward. Thank you. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I'm sorry. Okay, I shouldn't make assumptions. Okay.
No, you're fine.
Okay, here I go again. My name is Phyllis Coy. I don't know if any of you have received a notice from AT&T regarding in-person public participation hearings in regards to the California Public Utilities Commission Rulemaking 24-06-012. This is regarding landline telephones, and it is my understanding the desire to eliminate them. There are locations in Humboldt County where cell phones have no reception, so are useless. There are no in-person public hearings scheduled in Humboldt County. The two closest in-person public participation hearings are in Roseville near Sacramento on April 23rd and in Santa Rosa on April 30th. There are 3 remote public participation hearings scheduled. Those dates are April 17, May 4th, and May 13. It would only seem fair to all counties involved in a decision of this magnitude that in-person public participation hearings be scheduled in each and every county seat of the affected counties. I have a copy of the notice I received is attached for your information. I have deleted my name and address for my own privacy. I have copies for each of you. Thank you for listening to me. And I would like to give a quick kudos. I probably should have done this last time, but I would like to give a quick kudos to the dispatchers, victim restitution people, and my sisters and I have done dog transports, and they are fun. So where do
Thank you. You can give it, Nick, you'll come get that from you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Is there any other public comment in the room? So I do want to say that on the AT&T landlines, there was a hearing. We can't do it back and forth, but I just want to say there was a hearing in Ukiah, and Supervisor Bohn and myself went on the previous. This is the same. They're continuing forward, right?
Well,
oh, okay.
That one.
This is a different bill.
Oh, okay.
That one got denied.
So this is a new one. So
And this is a new one.
Yep. Okay.
They're referring it now to as the copper lines they're trying to delete.
Okay, thank you. So we did advocate at that time for that one, and I saw the advertisement for this one, and I am going to be speaking on this one as well for Humboldt County.
Yeah, well, I happen to be going down there, so I'm working on my speech now.
Okay. So is there anybody else in the room on non-agenda items? Okay, with that, we'll be closing non-agenda items, public comment on non-agenda items, and we will be continuing forward. And I think, Cliff, you're up next. Let me pull my agenda back up. So we are going to go to the next item, H1, Planning and Building, a continuation of a hearing for revocation of a conditional use permit for Kernan Construction for a rock aggregate processing and material storage and handling yard facility. So we continued the public hearing from last time, so I don't think that I have to open, do I? It's a continuation of the last one. So I'm going to open the public hearing, and we're going to go to staff, which is Cliff today from Planning and Building.
Thank you, Chair Bushnell. I'm Cliff Johnson with the Planning and Building Department. This is just a request for a continuance from of this hearing to the April 15th meeting.
Okay.
And so I think you should just public comment on the continuance.
Yep, so at this time, we will go out to public comment. We're going to start on the Zoom, but the public comment is going to be on the continuation only. Is there any public comment on the Zoom?
Yes, thank you, Chair Bohn. We have 2 callers, 7718, *6 to unmute, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Ken Swasky, I support the continuation, and I hope you will hold testimony to that support or not on anybody else speaking, and we look forward to speaking on the 15th. Thank you for my opportunity to support your continuation.
Thank you. Chair Bushnell, we have 1 other caller, 0159. You have 3 minutes. I'm getting mixed up here. *6 to unmute, and you have 3 minutes.
Yeah, good morning, Michelle Bushnell. This is James-J. Colin Parker, beneficiary, executive of the trust. And you know what? I waited over an hour to do some public non-agenda comment. And
Hi, James. I'm going to interrupt. I'm going to interrupt you. Do you have a comment about the continuation of Kernan construction?
Well, no, I had some.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
And I waited an hour.
Don't cut him off. I'm sorry. We already did public comment on non-agenda items. I called it 3 times, and you did not raise a hand in the on the Zoom. So we're going to move forward since you don't have a comment on the item we're on, which is the continuation of Kernan construction. Is there any public comment in the room on Kernan construction continuation? No, so I'll be closing public comment and we'll bring it back to the board. If I could get a motion on the continuation.
I'll move continuation to April 15th. Is that what you want? We'll do that.
Second.
Okay. We have a first and a second. And I'll be closing the public hearing, or continuing the public hearing until April 15th.
Did you push yours?
I did.
Oh, Supervisor Wilson, did you push yours?
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 3-0.
Okay, so thanks, Cliff. So I just want to reference that, we did have a long consent calendar, although I called for public comment on non-agenda items several times. I'm sorry if you missed that window. Sometimes participating by Zoom can be tricky. So apologize if we missed that window for you, but we can't go backwards. So we are going to continue to our next item, which is departmental items, a county administrative office, and update on the Habitat for Humanity December 20th, 2022 earthquake recovery effort, CAO Hayes.
Thank you, Chair Bushnell. We have with us today Kati Gallardo, Public Information Specialist in the County Administrative Office, to present this item to your board today.
All right, good morning, Chair Bushnell and members of your board. My name is Kati Gallardo, and I'm the Public Information Specialist at the County Administrative Office. And I'm just going to give you a quick refresh, since it's been a while since we've discussed the earthquake with your board. On Tuesday, December 20th, 2022, a magnitude 6.4 earthquake struck Humboldt County. Following the initial earthquake, the county experienced over 200 aftershocks, one of which being a magnitude 5.4 earthquake on New Year's Day in 2023. As a result of those earthquakes, approximately 350 structures were damaged, with 90 of those structures deemed unsafe to occupy in the city of Rio Dell. To assist Humboldt County and Rio Dell residents experiencing earthquake displacement, on January 10th, 2023, your board approved and authorized staff to create a locally funded earthquake recovery and assistance program with $1 million from the county's allocation from the Federal Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency funds. The $1 million in local assistance and tribal consistency funds allocated has been dispersed to the McLean Foundation. On March 7th, 2023, your board authorized the CAO to sign an MOU with the McLean Foundation for fiscal agent services in the amount of $250,000 to aid in the long-term recovery of the city of Rio Dell and surrounding areas. Specifically, the McLean Foundation assumed responsibility for the administration of the LATCF in the amount of $250,000 to assist low-income residents experiencing earthquake-related displacement with meeting their unmet needs. Examples of unmet needs include funds to cover permit fees, funds to cover the cost of the installation of a new water heater, or funds to place items in storage while earthquake-related repairs were made. These funds have been dispersed in full to local disaster case management clients served by Arcata House Partnership and Changing Tides Family Services. Money was also allocated for the Humboldt County Emergency Shelter Voucher Program. Over $375,000 was spent on the Emergency Shelter Voucher Program. 95 households were served by this program from January to April in 2023. Program participants returned home when safety repairs were completed or when they secured new safe residences. The county was initially approved for 75% in reimbursements from the state for this program. However, Humboldt County OES was approved for 100% in reimbursements by Cal OES in December 2023. Humboldt County OES is still waiting on one remaining reimbursement for this program. $500,000 of the funds allocated was allocated for Habitat for Humanity Yuba Sutter. Per the county's MOU with Habitat for Humanity, the initial amount of $250,000 was paid to Habitat upon receipt of their business plan in 2023. Staff still remain engaged with Habitat and other local long-term earthquake recovery partners on an as-needed basis. However, by having Habitat for Humanity administer services directly to disaster case management clients, they are able to expend funds more efficiently in writing contracts and other administrative tasks related to granting funding to those still impacted by the earthquakes. In addition, Habitat has contacts and expertise that has allowed them to leverage and access other opportunities for funding support. It should be noted that the county's MOU with Habitat mentions that additional compensation in an amount of $250,000 may be paid to Habitat upon completion of the work described in the original work plan, when the county deems the work acceptable. Habitat has recently requested these additional funds in order to complete repairs on 4 remaining red and yellow tagged homes in Rio Dell. In order to provide Habitat for Humanity with these funds, the MOU must be amended, as the current MOU reads as that Habitat would receive the final $250,000 once all work has been finalized, and Habitat has indicated that this would provide cash flow restraints. The county administrative officer has previously been granted authority by your board to amend Habitat's MOU and business plan, so staff is currently working with county council to update the MOU to allow for funds to be dispersed with accountability through reporting and a true-up process. If your board does not, as noted in the staff report, there is no additional financial impact outside of staff time to provide Habitat with these funds, as they have already been allocated by your board. If your board does not want to disperse the remaining funds, that is within your purview. However, the remaining projects would not be completed, leaving homeowners to find alternate financial means to remedy the necessary repairs. As of today, the city of Rio Dell has reported that approximately 20+ building permits are still active for earthquake damage repair. Long-term recovery takes time. The county would like to thank our long-term earthquake recovery partners, past and present, who include Humboldt County OES, the city of Rio Dell, the disaster case management teams with Changing Tides Family Services and Arcata House Partnership, Pay It Forward Humboldt, the Humboldt Area Foundation, and the Humboldt Eel River Valley Long-Term Recovery Group. Their efforts have been crucial on the long road to earthquake recovery over the past few years. Now what I would like to introduce Administration Officer Camille Benner from Habitat for Humanity Yuba Center, who will be joining us on Zoom. She will present a report on their progress and next steps. She will be joined by Carrie Venegas, the Executive Director of Changing Tides Family Services, who has also been a critical local partner. by providing disaster case management services to folks still in need of earthquake recovery assistance. So I'll turn it over to Cami now.
Thank you, Connie, and hello, board. I would like to first apologize I can't be there in person, and I was at the very beginning of your meeting. Really appreciate it. Oh, sorry, my computer wants to reboot. You cannot do that right now. Your acknowledgement to Deputy James Mallory. Our leadership team, we also are honoring a fallen officer, Officer Rodarte of the Marysville PD. So I had to stay behind, so I wish I could be there in person. And I also want to acknowledge, I asked Carrie to be here with me because, and I didn't put Arcata House on there. And really quickly, do I have permission to share my screen for the presentation, or are you going to share it, Connie?
Go ahead and share your screen, Cami.
Okay. So I have Carrie with me because it would be absolutely impossible that we would be able to perform any measurable outcomes without her assistance. So let me get this going. Are we good? Is it?
We can see it. You may want to put it in presenter mode.
It's thinking about it. There we go. So, and I don't have Arcata House and all the other partners that are involved in this, but I do really just want to acknowledge the efforts of the entire team at Arcata House, all the DCM case managers, and of course Carrie. Carrie and I were in a meeting late last night, and even though the DCM has disengaged, Carrie has stayed incredibly engaged so that we can make sure that we get the repairs to people that need them. And so the presentation that I put together, it's really going to be quick. I wanted to mostly spend time answering some questions and go over the remaining repairs that are to be done. And 1 second. So I want to start off. This is the first repair. We had 2 repairs that were done by Lindstrom Construction, and I also really want to just acknowledge how incredible your local contractors have been and patient. There's been, I just can't speak highly enough of everybody that we've been blessed enough to work with. And so this was for the Broyles family. And we repaired the posts, poured pads, well, we didn't, Lindstrom did, installed the Simpson brackets. And we have some before and afters, and I really like the quotes. And in case you can't read that on the, at the bottom there, they just stated what a load this was off their shoulders. It was a lot of stress for them, as it is for anyone, and it was a really long process. And they are incredibly thankful to Lindstrom, and again, this repair would not have been possible without the support of Carrie's staff, as we are in Yuba Sutter. Another completed project here, also done by Lindstrom Construction. This is for the Mentics. When we first engaged, our contract was to identify qualifying landlords. So we were, that may be over income. We can't serve anybody that is over 80% of the area median income for your jurisdiction. But we thought it would be a really, a clever way use of funds to engage landlords and have them offer those homes as affordable housing stock and rents. But what we did find is, unfortunately, by the time we were engaged, a lot of the individuals that were staying in the motels had found housing elsewhere, and we did not have a lot of success in finding landlords that were willing to contract out and make their homes as affordable housing stock. The Mentic family did. We're incredibly grateful to them. And their home, they had to redo the entire foundation. And I got to actually see this one in person, and I found it incredible. Just the entire house lifting up. And that house is now housed by a low-income mother. And she's now has housing security, and the Lindstroms have their asset repaired, and it's been a great asset of affordable housing stock. When I first put this together, I thought that Alice Millington was done, but she is not. There were some additional repairs that need to be done, and it actually exceeds the $60,000 allowable maximum grant that we at Habitat can administer. And so the unmet needs contribution is going to be $16,160. And as we move forward, you're going to see a very fluid chart that Carrie and I have been working on to ensure where many of these repairs exceed $60,000. So we can't alone do it. And so it's really been moving a lot of puzzle pieces around on this spreadsheet to figure out how we can get the best use of the funds and really help people with the repairs that they need. So this is not yet done. Pan Coast is getting their next payment so that they can finish the project, and I believe it will be done before the end of the month, and actually mid-month upon receipt of payment. And I do have permission to give these names. They did, we were able to post these. So, but when we move forward on the upcoming repairs, I won't be giving any names or addresses or pictures on those. And then this is Miss Teague. Oh my goodness, she's incredible. So is Allison. All these people are great. But the big thing for her is without the use of this funds and without you approving them going to these repairs, she thought she was going to have to sell her home. And she's been an incredible advocate in your community for a very long time. And so she's just been in tears and incredibly grateful that she is now safely housed, her home is repaired, and she can just age gracefully. So this is, you have seen a few copies of these that I've sent in the reports to Cotty, and it does change, and it is a very fluid spreadsheet. As I said, there are moments, there's one repair that we had, and Cotty did say 4 repairs, and it's actually currently 3. If you look at the bottom, our total is $389,000. I expect that top one, that is 1710, and the construction company is Redwood, it's $55,460. We are finding that many of the bids go over bid, and then we also still have to file all the escrow, the deeds. So I'm leaving a little wiggle room there that has gone way over the 400,000, and right now we're at 389. So there's a little fluidity there, and there was 28,000 that was taken off of a repair that we were going to do because this resident was in dire need, and we couldn't start the repair without the release of the next round of funding. And so Carrie stepped in and was able to utilize their unmet needs funding. And I'm going to let her speak to that, but there's an incredible story there that goes far beyond just a repair, and also community revitalization as well, because there's a huge property effort cleanup that had to happen, and that required really a wraparound service, more than just writing all the contracts and doing the administrative work, but really being there for that person to kind of guide them through and help them be able to even do that property cleanup that is required for them to get the necessary repairs. So currently, we have the ones in yellow are waiting, and I've spoken to all of them. With the rain coming in, they are very anxious to get the repairs started. One is having active leaks at the moment, and Cotty did state what we are requesting is that we can get the $250,000 and then just start construction on all of them and have the rest of the money expended before, if not by the end of April due to weather, definitely be by the end of May. And we're asking that because we are in, like every other nonprofit, with funds being restricted, we have millions of dollars that we have expended that normally come back as a reimbursement that we have not been reimbursed on. So we are not in a position right now to cover the construction costs, and I don't want to leave contractors waiting to be reimbursed. So these families are approved. They have all of their paperwork in, and they have waited an incredibly long time, and they're very, very excited. And they're also, when they call, incredibly grateful to all of you, Board of Supervisors, for one, not just approving the funds, but also approving the amendments that was requested to be able to shift from landlords to low-income homeowners. And when I go down on this spreadsheet, all of the orange those are clients that we were working with, but for one reason or another, we were unable to support them. And so this is not all encompassing of the funds and repairs that the Unmet Needs Committee and Carrie has been able to assist, but these are the ones that we were working on in unison. And then additionally, I want to point out that If you go to the bottom on the USDA, you'll see that there is a variation from my last report. It was 135,000 is what I listed as approved USDA. On one of the repairs, which is going to be the first blue line with construction contractor Vitali, unmet needs did the overpayment for $5,160. Because we didn't get a bid in time, so that $15,000 grant, it was just easier, or instead of putting that homeowner through more stress with USDA and trying to get a bid, Carrie was able to meet that overage, which was incredible. And at that time, as you can see, she's only at $39,800. We could have paid that, but this spreadsheet looked different. We were over $400,000. So Carrie stepped in to make sure that that repair could be completed. We have completed 3 USDA home repairs, totaling and administered $120,000 over the top of the $400,000. Well, $200 at this point, but in total $400,000 in repair. I'm not doing currently any more USDA applications. As I'm sure you're very aware, it feels like there's nothing that the USDA, there are certain things that we just are out of all of our control. And so until the funding is available and can be administered, I don't want everybody's paperwork to expire. There is additionally, there is an HPG, which is a Housing Preservation Program. It's a USDA program that I would like to apply for. And it would essentially be like, very similar to the USDA 504, which is for critical home repairs. But Habitat would be the recipient of that grant. And instead of having USDA underwrite it, we would be approving them internally in-house. And that NOFA has not come out, but when it does, I would like to come back to the board and present some more information on that, because my thought is to do some prevention repairs for people that weren't able to benefit from the brace and bolt grants that were available, or have repairs, not necessarily from the earthquake, but repairs that we can do to secure their housing and ensure that, God forbid there's another one, that their house is more structurally sound. So the total repairs between the both Unmet Needs Committee and Habitat that have come through is 1.9 million. And I also do want to say, one of those larger repairs of 140,000, or actually it's 189,000, excuse me, that was also done in partnership with the CDBG funding. And Kristen at Humboldt County has been really incredible to work with. And CDBG funds are also very complicated, more so actually than USDA to administer. So I don't know where she's at on what she's expended, but I just really want to kind of acknowledge that, because we also do project delivery on CDBG, and I know how complicated that funding is. And I also have worked really well with her, and I really respect how much she's trying to serve your constituents and get that funding out to those that need it. And I would like to, so the next is, and again, thank you, Carrie, for being here with me today. I did put some slides in here for Carrie that I'm going to let her go over. And again, I can't speak high enough volumes for what she is doing and going above and beyond. I know on that first 250,000 and the remaining 50,000 of that set aside is for project delivery and admin. And we have far exceeded, and as has Carrie, and that's not a complaint by any means that I'm saying, but in the report that Cotty gave you, which I did not put in this presentation, but we have about $83,000 in in-kind payroll costs just for the complications and lessons learned. And I know that there's a report that's being put together for you to see how this funding and the partnerships can get to people quicker, and we can do an even better job. But I'm incredibly proud of the dedication, and most especially with Carrie Vernigas. So I'm gonna go to her slide. Carrie?
Thanks, Cammie. I appreciate that. And I just want to be clear that it's not just me, it's the entire team. This took an entire group of people, Arcata House Partnership, Humboldt Area Foundation, the Unmet Needs Committee, which has representatives from various foundations and businesses around the county who made the call on the funding. There have been private donations, there's been county money, there's been foundation money given to this, and it's made such a huge difference. And I think one of the big lessons we learned is, which we already know, is that the more flexibility that you have is when things come locally. Because the complicated paperwork for USDA, that it was an ever-shifting target, even changing age groups age cutoffs at a certain point. There's just a lot of things that evolved over time that we had to learn a lot of lessons about. And because Humboldt County did not have the thresholds that maybe people are used to seeing in an emergency for FEMA, it meant that a lot of things had to be creatively put together. So on our end, on the disaster case management and locally based here, a lot of it was supporting people one-on-one, taking the phone calls, referring to resources, and then preparing recommendations to the Unmet Needs Committee for review. And the funding that was given to McLean Foundation was the original base funding for that. So you'll see that the disaster case management ran basically from April to September and closed on the end of September, but that didn't mean that we actually stopped supporting people who were in process. It meant that we stopped taking new cases because it was the end of that category, but we continue to actually support. There are 3 people still in the hopper who are ongoing projects, and then there's odds and ends that we've also done. I also want to make sure that we recognize that there's a lot of county staff time who have been wonderful, so it took a lot from start to finish. There were people who lifted this up originally long before Cammie or I or any of our teams got involved in this process. So shout out to Amy Nielsen and some of the other team originally. Also, Kati has just been an amazing through line to make sure that things are accounted for and that we have a place to check in. So once we finished this, the function of DCM basically was resources, right? And to connect folks. So there were 37 individual cases funded. Now, some of these folks were actually funded more than once. The challenge with recovery is that you don't know what you don't know until you start actually doing the work. You may find things that are additional damage when you start lifting up a house to look at the foundation, and then you find out that you have some damage to pipes, and then you find out that you may need a French drain because everything has shifted so much in the natural disaster. But of the unique 37, so they may have had more than one type of support, 33 of them have already been completed from the unmet needs side. 4 are still in process. There are 3 additional cases that we're sharing and leveraging funding with Habitat, and just a little bit under $450,000 has gone out directly in support. And that means repairs and other things. Cammie, you may have to actually change the slides because they're on your screen.
Did it change?
It did, thank you.
I think Supervisor Bohn has a question really quick.
Okay.
Sure.
Now, explain again about the $450,000, that all went to repairs, or that went to associated things to the repairs, like extra work and for the families and stuff like that, or did that all go towards repairs?
All of that actually went to repairs with the exception of probably somewhere between $6,000 because there were some household goods that needed to be replaced.
Thank you.
And that's not including admin. That's literally like what was paid out to contractors, what was paid out for things that directly benefited households. So the permit funding was an additional pot and separate and distinct, and this was carved out so that anyone could actually come in if they could document that damage had happened because of the earthquake. And excuse me, they were able to come to the city, have their permit costs paid for. This also ran through, once we got a good system going, the Unmet Needs Committee so that they could review and be aware of this. And then we were able to trace all of this and the cases that went through. So that was the number of permits that were given, 23 permits, and we're standing right around $22,000 in it. And there are a few more permits coming in because there is some ongoing work, including the work that Habitat's doing. Any of those, and even if they did not come through the Unmet Needs Committee or Disaster Case Management or Habitat or CDBG, still community members were eligible for those permit funds. A snapshot of some of the things that we've learned, and I just want to give a shout out. Cami did this, but there have been some fabulous contractors. There are many who have done repairs out there, some who have worked directly with our various organizations, some who have worked independently with just homeowners. I'd like to particularly recognize Ryan from RH Construction, Steve Ambrosini from A&G Concrete and Construction, Hunter and Son, who've done a lot of roof work out there, especially complicated roof work. Rich Vitale, who has a specialty in mobile homes, which really came in handy. 20th Century Mobile, another specialty area. Lindstrom Construction. We have a whole list, and I wish I could list them all. I won't do that, but it is available, and we are keeping track of a lot of this because these contractors also are bringing a lot of experience with the repairs that were done for this disaster. We've learned a lot, and one of the things I'm hoping to connect with the planning director about, and anyone else who's interested, is I'd really like to get that knowledge together with the actual contractors who did the work so that we can learn from their experience and be more prepared. It will not come as a surprise to you that the majority of damage and repairs needed were to foundations. So lots of foundation damage. I think you're all aware of where the epicenter was of this earthquake. You can literally lay a map of Rio Del right on the table, and you can pinpoint exactly where the earthquake was. And you can see the cascading out damage. So the majority was repairs to foundations, followed by a lot of water and plumbing, specifically water heaters. So if I were going to give advice to myself as well, is brace and bolt. Take advantage of it, do it now. It's going to make a big difference, and make sure that your water heater is strapped in, because those are the things that we saw shift the most. Other plumbing, of course, shifting toilets and HVAC sometimes being damaged, including wall heaters. There's a lot of older units, older HVAC in a lot of the buildings. There's also, oh, I'm so sorry, is there a question? Ooh, time.
Yeah, we're a little bit tight on
Okay.
time because Supervisor Wilson's
Sorry.
I do want to make sure that we answer questions. Are we almost out of time?
So we do need to wrap up. We have a closed session still. I apologize. We don't have a quorum without Supervisor Wilson, and so we need to wrap up in the next 5 to so minutes here, and we still have to do public comment.
No problem. Go ahead, Carrie.
Carrie, I'm sorry, I went through the pictures pretty quickly, but they
No
are
problem.
there.
I am happy to share brace and bolt pictures with y'all and deeper construction for those who like a deep dive. But I also would be remiss if I didn't recognize Nick Bohn Crawford and Jessica Gregorio, who were on the ground immediately in response and actually formed the backbone of the work with the long-term recovery group. And this work would not have happened without their efforts, and they continue to be involved with the COAD, which is responsible for preparing for future things. So just wanted to recognize them.
Sure. Cami, do you have anything else to add before we move on
No,
to?
no, I definitely want to make sure we get questions answered, so.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Kati, do you have anything else? And thank you for the presentation. I'm sorry, we just won't have quorum without Mike
No.
today.
Absolutely understandable. I don't have anything else for you. And
So I'm going to bring it back to the board for questions. Does anybody have a question? Supervisor Wilson.
So, so we set aside what is $1 million to help fund this project, and then or program, I guess, and then, but we haven't gone all the way through that funding stream yet. So, what did you say? 20,000 or 200? What's the number that's left in that?
250,000 for
Yes.
Habitat.
Yes, there's $250,000 left that has already been allocated for Habitat.
Okay, all right, and we feel like that those are going to be lined out pretty. We've got tasks that are okay.
Yes,
productive
absolutely.
tasks.
I've let everyone, all of the contractors and the homeowners know that after this meeting, once I have a better idea of when, if you approve and releasing the funding, that we can schedule and begin work so that I know that they're not waiting on payment.
Okay, and then so will we have like a number of people that we feel like who have been able to maintain their homes through this program? What number, do you have a number now, or do we have, or are we waiting for, what do you think we're at?
So currently through our system is 7, and then at the end it will be 8 or 9, depending on how, and again, Carrie and I are still, that funding shifts. If she sees a way that she can help or fit, we're really kind of putting both of our funding pots into these repairs.
Okay, and we're not the only funding stream for this program. What were some of the others?
It depends on which one you're talking about. So there are very distinct funding streams. So when you get the presentation and you see the chart, actually, Cammie worked hard to lay out like CDBG and the unmet needs. But also I wanted to answer your previous question. So from the unmet needs committee side, which was the foundational money was given to McLean for X amount of dollars. And I'm sorry, I believe
it was $250,000 for unmet needs that was contributed by the county,
which has all gone out the door. So there's 33 homes that have been completed and have maintained the housing for those folks. And when we're done, there'll be another 4 or 5 added on to that, plus Habitat's houses.
So, okay, 33 homes. What's the difference between the 33 homes and the 8 or 9 people? What's that? Can you define? When I asked you, like, how many people, like, were able to stay in their homes, you're saying 8 or 9, then you're telling me 33 homes. Are you saying 33 repairs? Is that what you're saying?
No, we're talking about 2 distinct things. So
Okay.
Habitat has the folks that they
Right.
were primary on, and then Unmet Needs Committee had the folks they were primary on.
Okay.
So you would need to add both numbers together to
Okay.
actually get the current number.
That's what I was trying to get to. What I was trying to get at is what was our investment in per person saved in their home? Because when we started this at the very beginning, and I remember sitting down with our staff on this, and the question is, will we invest this money? And so for my question was always like, well, okay, that's when people become unhoused because of these situations, we are gonna one way or another pay something to deal with that situation, and whether it's services of some kind or whether they, maybe end up on the street or whatever, all these things that can happen to folks when that happens, or even just the lack of people living in homes that then are continuing to pay property tax and go to their businesses and be, part of the community. So it's like, I was just kind of like wondering, to make that connectivity between the investment we made in keeping people housed, because that's always the cheapest way to deal with homelessness, is to prevent people from becoming homeless to begin with. And so that was what I was getting at. If we don't have but at some point I would love to see that connectivity made. It doesn't have to happen today. That's all I got. Thanks.
Supervisor Lynn, I apologize to interrupt. So we were contracted to do 6 homes. We brought in USDA, so we will be overachieving on our measurable outcomes. There will be more homes repaired than the MOU required, but all of that is not your funding. It is also USDA funding, and it is, the 33 are through Changing Tides Family Services, Unmet Needs. We all have different contracts. We're just working really well together to try and put our funding sources on. And so there might be duplication, because one of our homes is going to be one of my homes, but I can only do 60,000, and we have different requirements. So
thank you. Supervisor Bohn has a question, and then I have a statement, and I want to stay with, we have to go out to public comment, and we have a time constraint, so go ahead.
And real quick, okay, we gave $1 million. How did the $1 million, I didn't realize, and there was a $3 million grant in there somewhere also, right? Through US. Where did the $1 million go that we gave? Did 250 go to the McLean Foundation?
250 went to McLean for unmet needs.
And the other 750 is?
Then the 375,000 went to the motel shelter program that we initiated essentially in January of 2023. And then $500,000 was allocated for Habitat for Humanity.
for 9 homes. Or 6 homes.
Or, well, currently.
I think, and I'm just saying, and I'm a simple person here. And following up what Supervisor Wilson said, the best way to stop homelessness is build houses. Is there a process when we're all sitting down that this can go happen? I mean, we got burrito trucks galore down there in 2 days. Is there a quicker way? Because there was 2 houses put up the same weekend. And they put them up that weekend. 2 houses, foundations, everything. And you're right, no permits or anything else, but they got the family back in the houses. Is there a way we can do this quicker rather than having so many different people? And I think when you guys, later when this is all done, but we have so many people in here, and it was 200 homes, or like 90 red and yellow tagged, right?
It was 90 red tagged and 350 structures that damaged.
So I don't think this process worked. I mean, this was a new process for us, and through communications with the folks in Rio Dell, I don't think that the process worked as well as we'd hoped. I know that the money for the motel vouchers we did get through OES, thank you, Ryan, and Cal OES, we were able to get some of that money back. If we have to go through this again, maybe there is a different process. We've learned a lot, I'll say that. And I continue to get calls from folks in Rio Dell that they didn't qualify, they didn't this, they didn't that, or they did their repairs themselves so they could get back in their homes, and that makes them not qualified. And so it's been a very frustrating process. I think when this board allocated the $1 million, we had hoped that that money would go, well, first of all, for, we needed to shelter people right away that didn't have shelters, which included some of those yellow tagged homes too, because they didn't have water, they didn't have sewer, but it wasn't off the foundation. But I think our board had hoped that we would touch more homes than we did. And $1 million doesn't go very far, and there's a lot of red tape. And so you hear frustration from Supervisor Bohn, and you have questions from Supervisor Wilson saying, actually, how many homes? I know of one that we actually, with Habitat Humanity monies that we allocated. The unmet needs monies, we did a lot more work there, getting the process, helping people that had some unmet needs, which didn't include all of it as being unhoused or housing. So if there's something else you guys can contribute, before I got to close public comment, please do. I just, from myself, think that in the future, if we have an opportunity, it's not often that the county is able to give an incorporated city money, and that was a rare process in itself, and a response from our board saying we need to help because there was no other help coming. And we didn't qualify for FEMA. There wasn't state money. State monies were promised; those didn't come forth. And so I think our board did what we could, and we learned a lot from that through this last 3 years of process. So Carrie or Kati, do you have one last thing before I go out to public comment?
I just appreciate the effort on your board to even put this money forward to help the community as much as we could, knowing what we knew then. I think we've learned a lot since then, and I do want to say, even though we have learned a lot, and it hasn't necessarily gone as the board has hoped in terms of getting things done quickly, and it's helping as many folks as we could have quickly, the efforts are still being made, and we appreciate all of those efforts that are ongoing.
Supervisor Bohn? Sorry, Carrie, 1 minute. Supervisor
And so
Bohn?
I know out of the 1,375,000 went to the 95 families, which is about 4,000 family. But then Ryan was able to get that 395, or that money reimbursed, right?
Yes, 100% of
So
funds for that
where did
program
it go
was
after we got it reimbursed?
It's part of the motion today. Some of the monies, I think, right, from today? Or go ahead.
What was that? I'm sorry.
Well, we spent $395,000 for motels.
Sure.
But we got the $395,000 back. So we didn't really spend it. We loaned it, got it back. Where is that money now?
That I would have to ask Ryan.
It's there.
should have been prepared with budget units.
Well, and we can move on if we can get this later on down the line, because it's just,
I'll send you an email.
yeah, there just seems to be so many unanswered questions, and my whole idea is we had 90 people that couldn't go in their houses, and we had contractors lined up. We had one contractor lined up willing to go in and do it.
Jessica, can you come
So-
to the podium, please? Because
Jessica's
our
thank you,
budget
Jessica.
person.
She's got all the budget
Yeah,
units
she's
and
got
all the
all that.
numbers
She's
stored
got all
right up
that.
there in her head.
Thanks, Jessica.
Yeah. And I don't know if I missed any conversation on my run over here, but to Supervisor Bohn's question regarding where the money is that we were reimbursed from Cal OES. That is currently back in the fund. It reimbursed the fund of the allocation that you all, sorry, let me catch my breath for you a moment. It is back in the fund from the LATCF funds, and so that will be coming before your board as a point of allocation in the future, likely with the upcoming budget.
So does that money not go to Habitat as we had intended? Because when we talked about, and I don't want to prolong this because we do have a time constraint, but I had thought through communications when we were doing all this, that if we got reimbursement from Cal OES, and Ryan, thanks so much, because I know you worked really hard on that, that money would be able to be reallocated out for victims of the earthquake. I know it came quite late, and I know we have budget issues, and I think CAO Hayes wants to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to clarify that $750,000 is on the table for this specific program. 250 has already gone to Habitat. 250 has gone for the unmet needs, and another 250 is ready to be released from Habitat. I believe we came at some point in time regarding the reimbursement on the housing and opted not to reallocate that 250. If I recall.
No, we didn't. I've been asking, and it hasn't came to this board yet.
So I don't believe we have brought that forward yet. As a point of clarification, we have not received 100% reimbursement. We received a large portion of it reimbursed, so that some of that 250,000 that was initially utilized was still used because we went over that allocation. So it reimbursed what we went over that allocation, and we still have to pay a little bit out of that 250,000. So it is roughly 130,000 that I think we had to use out of that, that we were not reimbursed. So whatever the difference is on that, around
So I
120.
think that sounds like an item will be coming back, and I want to make clarification also on the motion. The motion is just to accept but I heard the presenter talk about some funds that need to be released. Is that not today?
As mentioned in the staff report in the introduction, we are currently preparing to amend the MOU with Habitat for Humanity so we can allot them with the $250,000. It's already been allocated by
So
your
that
board.
money item will come back, or is that for today?
It's already done.
Okay.
You've already allocated
Yeah.
that additional 250. We just need to release it. And the
Okay.
current contract with Habitat is not incredibly clear on the reporting and accountability metrics that we need and to feel good about releasing another 250 out to Habitat. And so that's where we'll be modifying to ensure that we get reports back from Habitat after we release that, and that there's a true-up process to make sure that that full 250 is expended, and if not, that whatever is unexpended comes back to us.
Thank you. I know that I have talked with Kati and yourself and Carrie about what's going on, because I continue to get a lot of calls from the Rio Del area and frustration because they didn't feel like they were able to connect with Habitat. I do want to recognize all the work of the staff and Amy Nilsson at the time, who helped with the process of going forward. And my discouragement is not at staff. It is at the process of what happened and how it happened and how it rolled out, which was a learning curve for all of us, I believe. So with that, I'm going to go out to public comment, and we'll go to the Zoom first.
Thank you, Chair Bushnell. We have 7718, *6 to unmute, and you'll have 3 minutes.
I think we all can agree this process did not work. When you're amending MOUs at the end of a process, that is always disconcerting. And of course, this money, as far as I could tell, was the equivalent of a general fund use. And hopefully, I guess, whatever you have left after this fiasco, in my opinion, will be able to be used for general fund, because you definitely need the money. So I don't think you're going to have much thing coming down these particular streams anymore. I think the funding streams from FEMA to Cal OES and all these kind of things are drying up quite rapidly. So hang on to what you've got. You're going to need every penny of it. Thank you, opportunity to speak.
Thank you. If we do we have any other public comment on Zoom? So I'm going to go into the room, but first we have the Rio Dale City Manager on the Zoom, I think, would like to speak.
Thank you, Chair Bushnell, members of the Board of Supervisors. I do want to say specifically thank you to Camille and Carrie for their work on this long project. We are 2 years, 3 months or so from the event, and certainly we all wish that things could go a lot faster. What I think needs to be just reminded of the group and viewers watching is that this was not a federally declared disaster, meaning that there was no individual assistance, which is a FEMA program for the survivors of this disaster. And so that had a huge impact. And the state of California currently does not have an individual assistance act program on its own. And so what I really, I want to remain forward focused on where we go, because this type of event will happen again, and there will be questionable response from the federal government. We got a great response from USDA, who worked with us coming up with funding solutions and really proactive, but that agency, I don't know if in the future it's going to be able to be helpful as it was for our event. But in the legislature today, there is a proposal called AB 262. Mayor Deborah Garnes, Rio Dale's mayor, was just down yesterday testifying in front of the Assembly Emergency Management Committee in support of this legislation. It would have the state create an individual assistance program. Other states do this. And of course, California has the largest threshold, $72 million, larger than any other state in the union. And we have to have an individual assistance program, or this existential crisis is going to threaten rural communities across California, poor rural communities, including right here in Humboldt County, and that threshold is only going to grow. And FEMA's ability to respond is frankly, at this point, I think is only going to decline dramatically. And so we really need to push on the state legislature and the supposed tentpole of America's economy, that we get back to the fundamentals and have a state-run individual assistance program, and which would aid the people helping, like Camille and like Carrie, by having funding certainty, by having more options on the table. This was kind of cobbled together amongst a bunch of different grants that were not disaster related, that are really focused on poverty related issues, funding from great funding and support from philanthropic entities, but it just isn't enough. It isn't enough to handle this. And so we do need to have some adjustments and advocacy at the state level to make these, I think, fundamental, important changes that would help secure the future of Humboldt County and other rural areas of the state. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. I need to finish public comment in the room, if I could. If there's any public comment in the room? Nope. closing public comment, and we'll come back to Kati and Carrie just for brief comments. And then I do want to reiterate that, thank you for all the hard work from the staff and everybody that's trying. It's just the process that doesn't work well. So go ahead.
I just want to thank you for your time and for receiving this update.
Thank you. Carrie?
And I just want to say that we actually did do a debrief. We did create a structural document to capture all the lessons learned. And we also now have infrastructure we didn't have before. And that there were distinctly different programs involved. So if you all ever want to have a deeper conversation, you know where to find us. And we would love to do that. We would love to offer that and offer that structural document that can be built on and that COAD is intending to build on. And then to also let you know, because we definitely have some ideas about what worked faster, because there were things that rolled out by April.
Yeah, thank you for that. So I'm going to bring this back to the board for a motion. I do want to recognize what Kyle said, and forward thinking and legislation is really important, and that through FEMA, we really missed a window there with the inequities with FEMA. And it's hard 2 years and how many ever months out we are that there is several folks that are not back in their homes yet and still waiting that process. And so I think that's where the frustration comes from. So if I could get a motion, please.
Make a motion to receive and file this report.
Okay. On your thing.
Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Kati. Thank you from the Zoom world. So we're going to go on to our last item, which is closed session, and I'm going to go to County Council.
Thank you, Chair Bushnell. It is the intention of the board to meet in closed session pursuant to California Government Code Section 54957.6 in order to review the county's position and instruct its designated labor negotiators. It is also the intention of the board to meet in closed session pursuant to California Government Code Section 54956.9 D1 in order to discuss existing litigation in the case of Robin Heather Storm versus County of Humboldt et al., Humboldt County Superior Court Case Number CV 2500572.
Thank you. I'll go out to public comment at this time. We'll start with the Zoom and then in the room. Is there anybody on Zoom?
Yes, Chair Bushnell, 7718, *6 to unmute, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hello, Kim Sawatsky. I've been here, I was actually in the chamber before Rex was in there in the chair. And there's a public perception, and I think it's justified, that your workers are not happy. And the public perception is that you just basically take a very high-paid attorney to just say no. And of course, when you stall the negotiations out for 6 or 9 months, that does save the county money, but I think you may be paying back more in lack of satisfaction in their job, feeling they're disrespected. That's a technique that has worked apparently, because it continues to be ongoing. But I think the cost may be more than the benefit to you as far as your staff being disgruntled with the process. You may consider that. That's a management technique, a private business. I don't do that myself. Maybe other big companies do. But I think it's very hard for a workforce to continue with their heart in something when they feel like these kind of maneuvers are being pulled. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. And then we'll go to public comment in the room. Hi, welcome.
I second what the gentleman on the phone said. Definitely, we are integral part of the county. We wish to be equals and to be able to discuss with the board, with the county in general, as a union representative. We would like to be able to sit at the table with you and discuss. And we all have the best interest of the county at heart. And it's frustrating whenever there's an outside representative who has zero care about this negotiation, who's just paid incredible amounts of money to keep us from being able to negotiate one-on-one whenever we could, right? especially if people on the board feel like they support the county workers, and those county workers being the lowest paid in the staff can't survive. So let's sit down and talk. We've offered many times, and I think it would be beneficial for everyone, especially the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment in the room? Seeing none, I will close public comment and we'll go into closed session. You anticipate half hour?
It's a half hour to 45 minutes.
Okay, thank you. We will return. We're in recess. Okay, we're back in session, and we're going to go to County Council for report out.
Thank you, Chair Bushnell. There was no reportable action taken with regard to item K1. With regard to item K2, the board voted unanimously with Supervisors Madrone and Arroyo absent to authorize the Humboldt County Counsel's Office to defend the County of Humboldt in the case of Robin Heatherstorm versus County of Humboldt et al., Humboldt County Superior Court Case Number CV 2500572.
Thank you. So before we adjourn in memory of William Bill Hummel, I would like to ask County Council, so typically the board addresses their compensation and benefits once all bargaining units have been negotiating. That said, I would like to direct staff to return with an item next week to publicly state that the board does not intend to increase their base pay in calendar year 2025 and return with appropriate ordinance to effectuate that action once all bargaining has been completed. Can the CAO do that?
Yes, Chair Bushnell. The Brown Act allows a member of the board to direct staff to come back with an item for a future agenda.
Okay, so then I am wishing for that item to come on next week's agenda. Okay, thank you. We are adjourned in memory of William Bill Hummel from Fortuna, who passed away last week, and we're sending love to his wife and his family. Thank you. Adjourned.